Hello everyone, it's Neil here from 3D Tutor, back today not with a tutorial but a full course on YouTube. And we're going to be making this stylized saloon as you see here on the left hand side, and I'm going to try and make this course open to beginners and upwards. So to do that, down on the left hand side, as I'm clicking away, you'll see there's some icons or some key commands that appear down here called keycasting. That will always be there, so if you get lost or you don't understand my accent or are moving too fast, you'll see exactly which button I've pressed. Over on the right hand side, if we use a new key command, a visual will appear there letting you know exactly what I did. Also, if we're using more complex things like bevel modifiers or mirror modifiers or something like that, over on the right hand side an animation will appear that'll give you some detailed explanation about what it is we're actually doing. This means that we'll be able to move a lot faster within the course and still be open to beginners. And don't worry, you'll only be seeing these once, so they won't be cluttering up the screen all the time. So I'm hoping with this course, if it goes well, to actually produce more buildings within this course. So for instance, on the next part, I could produce something like the sheriff's office or a bank or something like that. And really it's down to how much you guys like it. So I'm hoping to get 200 likes, and if I get that, then I'll produce the next part of this course. This course is going to be broken down into sections, so when you finish this section, look down the description below and the next part should be there. If you can't find it there, go to my channel and I'll have a separate part in my channel for this course. At the moment I'm using Blender 2.8 and pretty much everything should be the same. Even if you're using 2.79, something like that, you should still be able to follow along absolutely fine. So with that said, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is delete the camera. We don't need that right now. We're going to delete the light. We'll bring in another light a bit further on. We're not going to delete the cube like everyone does. We're actually going to use it. So let's press 1 on the number pad. That then will put us in front view. And if you look down at the bottom right hand side, you'll have an explanation of what the number pad actually does. So I'll play around with that. Shift space and bring in our move. Pull it up just so it's above this red line here. Then I'm going to expand this out, so S and X. Let's bring it out a little bit. Press the tab button to go into edit mode. Come up to face select, grab the top face, shift space once more, bring in the move, pull it up, and this is going to be our front door of our saloon. So I'm just trying to manipulate this and just get it to be round about the right size so it's something that we can work with. Now I should say that when we're creating this, we shouldn't really be worrying too much about scaling, and we shouldn't be really worrying too much about polygons, although we'll try our best to bring the polygon count down. At the moment, all we're trying to do is get a really nice looking stylized saloon that looks really good and learn a lot along the process. So now let's create our door. Let's press Ctrl R to bring in a loop cut, press 2 on the number pad, left click, and then you'll notice you can slide it all over and just right click and that'll drop it right back into place. Now we need to bring these out a little bit. They're a little bit too thin, this door is. So what we'll do is we'll come up to our little links up here and we'll go down to medium point and then press S and X and just pull it out a little bit just to give us a nice door to actually work with. There's going to be posts coming up here, posts over the top, and there are going to be some saloon doors in actually here. So just visualize that and get it to the right size you want. Then we're going to have some wooden panels coming down here. So what we need to do is we need to now make sure that these are wide enough, probably about twice the width of what they are now. So let's press SX and pull them out a little bit more. Something like that is a good start, I think. Now press Ctrl R, bring it up, and let's say this is the actual doorway. So you want to imagine how big you want this point here. Now let's go to face select, grab this face, press E, and what you're going to do is you're going to pull it back down to about there, something like that, maybe a little bit further actually, because we want 2 doorways going in here, and we're not going to be doing the inside of the saloon, but we need to make it look as though they're going actually somewhere. Now what we're going to do is we're going to press Ctrl R and we're going to put it down here just so it follows around on the inside of here. You can see here that it's going around the inside. 2 again, left click, right click, and now we're going to make the opening for these doors here. So one more loop cut, which is going to be Ctrl R again, bring it up just so it's under here, and then we're going to expand these out. So come back to vert select, grab these verts with Alt Shift and click. That's going to grab them all, going all the way around. Look, Alt Shift click this one, S and Y this time and just pull them out. Now back to face select, let's grab this face and this face, and now you're going to press E and enter, and then S, X, and just pull them out just till they pop through here like this. And now you can see that if we're looking from here and we've got a saloon door on, it looks like these are actually going into somewhere, and you can actually pull them down like this, so it actually looks like they might be turning a corner or some kind. Now let's clean this up a little bit. So what we'll do is we'll go to face select and we're going to grab all these faces here. So we're shift clicking and we're going to delete faces, and we're going to do the same on these as well, because we're going to put some planks of wood in here, so we don't actually need these faces here. Okay, so now let's start with our planks of wood that are going to be on the front of our saloon. Well, first things first, let's press tab, let's go into Eevee, and let's bring in our sun. So shift A in object mode, come down to light, and let's pick a sun. Now let's pull it out, bring it up, and then R, X, pull it up, and then RZ. So what we want to do is just make a nice angle, something like that, and then move it to the side just so we can see what we're working with. Now let's grab this part, press the tab button, face select, grab the top parts of this, shift D just to duplicate, enter, pull them across, and let's pull them down. And I find generally that the top of here makes a good size for your planks of wood, although you can make them a little bit wider if you needed. Now let's press P to separate this, tab, click back on it, tab again, L to select it all, delete, limited dissolve. Now let's press Ctrl R, 6, left click, right click, and you can see now that these are going to be our planks of wood. Now it's up to you how big you make them or how small you make them. You can actually try Ctrl R and 5 and you might be happier with those. And I think actually now I've done that, I'm actually happier with 5. So now I'm going to come to face select, press L, Ctrl E, and go down to mark seam. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add some more edge loops in. So Ctrl R, 3, left click, right click, and this now is going to make sure that we can manipulate these sideways, and we've got a little bit of vertices to work with. So now let's come to face select. We're going to press L on every other plank. We're going to press Y, and what that's going to do is it's actually going to split them up. So now if I press G, you can see that I can grab them and they're all split up from each other, which is what we want. Now press A, and we're going to press E, pull it up to something that is a nice thickness that you're happy with. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make sure, if we go to our links, go to individual origin, SX, pull them in, and now you'll notice that they're looking more and more like planks. And this is the reason why we separated them out, because if we didn't separate them, we won't be able to make this kind of lattice within the wood. Now there is something that we do need to do. We need to come to the bottom, press the tab button, and what you'll notice is that these verts, although they're touching each other, are not actually joined. So it means that when we start manipulating the top of here, we're going to break the mesh down here. So we don't really want that. So what we want to do is press A, want to grab everything, come to where it says mesh, and if you can't see that, just make sure you're on layout, mesh, clean up, merge by distance, and you'll see remove 25 vertices. What that means is now when I try and move this, you can see that they're actually joined together, and that's exactly what I want. So now what we need to do is we need to make these look more stylized, and how we'll do that is we'll come up to edge select, and then we'll go over to this button here which is called proportional editing, and we'll turn that on. Now if you grab a vert and you try moving it, you'll notice that you get a circle. If you've not got a circle here, just move the mouse in and you can make it smaller, move it out and you can make it bigger. So let's have something like that, and what we're going to do is now just manipulate these around a little bit just to kind of make them a little bit different. Something like that, and I'm going to bring these in just a little bit like so. And now I've done that, I actually want to split them up once more just so I can do this outside and this inside. So what I'll do is I'll come to face select, L, and I'll grab it on the sides and the bottom, and then I'm going to go down and just grab every other one on the top, sides and the bottom, and then I'm going to press Y again, And now if I take proportional editing off and I press G, I should be able to move them exactly like that. This means now that I can come in on face select, grab this face for instance and pull it in and just make them look uneven. If they're joined together, I wouldn't be able to do that. So I'm going to press RZ as well and move them out a little bit like this. And I'm going to just work my way around. I'm just going to hide this out of the way. So I've pressed tab, grab on this part, press H for hide, and then let's re-click on these, tab again for edit mode, and now let's bring these back in and just make them a little bit uneven. So RZ. And the reason we're doing this inside as well, although these ones aren't going to be seen, we can use this mesh again, take it to another part and just turn it around. So let's press RZ, turn this one in a little bit, bring this one in, press tab, and let's have a look at how they're looking. And you can see already they are looking very nice. Alright, so let's give these some materials. So come over to your materials panel, which is this button here, and let's take this off. So click the minus button, then we're going to click plus, and we're going to do this 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come to the first one, click new, and let's name this wood plank 1, and then double click it, Control C, and let's go to the next one, new, double click, Control V, 2, and then we're going to do the same for the others. And that means now we're going to have 5 different materials or colors. Let's just put that right for these planks of wood. Okay, something like that. So let's now come to wood plank 1, base color, put it down a little bit and you can see they're already changing color. Let's bring it down a little bit darker. Now the important thing to remember is when we're doing the colors for the different wood, posts, fences, things like that, is just make sure that the colors are not too contrasting. So they need to be just slightly different and it'll make a really good effect. If they really like bonkers different colors, really make the model not look quite right. So even though it's stylized and we want it to look different, still need to be relatively close. So you can have the posts a much darker wood than the planks, but as long as all the planks, these for instance, are relatively close in color is what you're looking for. So let's go with the first one, and what we'll do is we'll try and bring this down to something like that, which is the kind of a nice wood color. Let's go to wood planks 2, press the tab button, come up to edge select, and we're going to grab this one with L and maybe this one, click assign. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab this first one, I'm going to click this down arrow, copy material, come to this one, click down arrow, paste material. And now I'm just going to go down these, I'm just going to paste the material in, just so I got to start from 0. So I do have some color there, and there we go. So now let's go to wood plank 2. Again, make sure that it's assigned, and let's come to this now. You can actually press tab now, click on this, and now you can make them slightly darker like that. Okay, so let's come to wood plank 3, and then I'll change just this one. So I just grabbed it with L again, and I click assign, come down to where it says base color again, and let's bring it down a little bit more darker, something like that. That's still quite a nice contrast. And now we'll make these two a little bit different color as well. So let's grab this one now. So L, 4, sign, tab. Let's make this a little bit lighter, maybe something like that. Okay, so the only one we need to do is 5. So let's press tab once more, grab this one with L, 5, and the base color. And let's make it a little bit darker, but change the color just very slightly. So don't be, if it's not changing by the way, just make sure that you click assign like I didn't. So you can see now it's changed to that. So maybe that is a little bit too much, so let's pull it down a little bit, and now you can see that they're very close in color, but they look very different. Okay, so let's double tap A and just have a nice look at them, just to make sure you're happy with them. And now once you've finished looking at them, and now you're going to press tab, and what we're going to do is we're going to delete the backs of these. We actually don't need them. These are always going to be facing away from where people are going to look at them, so it's just polygons that I use that we don't really need. They're still going to stay joined, of course, so it's easy to still move them, but these backs we just don't need. So let's come to the back, press L on them, and because of marking these seams out, you can see how easy it is to grab them. Delete, faces, and you should end up with something like this. Now what we need to make sure of is we need to make sure that all the normals are going the right way, and there's a quick way of doing that. If you come to these interlocking circles, click this down arrow and click on face orientation. I'll just quickly explain that this at the moment, all of these sides are facing outwards, which means they're facing the right way. If they're facing inwards, I'll just show you. So I'll grab this one and I'm just going to turn it around just so you can see. They will be red like that and they'll stand out. So if you have any faces which are red, just make sure that you grab everything and you press Shift N, and that's going to change them all around the right way. And if it doesn't change around the right way, just open up this menu, click on the one that you want to change around, Shift N, and just click inside and that will rotate it around. So just to recap, just make sure they're all blue. And we'll take off the face orientation, and now what we'll do is we'll reset the transform. So Control A and all transforms, and what that's going to do now is it means that when we bring in a modifier or anything like that, it's going to be applied correctly. Because what happens is when you first bring in a plane or something like that, it's basically set to the plane. So once you start changing it like this, it's still set to the plane, which means it's trying to apply modifiers and things like that to the plane, even though it looks nothing like the plane. So let's press Control A, all transforms, and then right click, set origin to geometry. And now what we're going to do is we're going to right click and we're going to shade smooth, and you end up with something like this. And what you want to do now is you want to come down to this little triangle here, go to normal, and we're going to click auto smooth. Basically what we've done there is we've smoothed out these planks just so there's no jaggedness in them, and we've based it on an angle of 30 degrees. If I turn this up, as you'll see, they start bending and looking a lot more smooth, and the reason for that is because it's based on the angle how to smooth them. So let's put this back to 30. That's roughly what you should always have it on, and that's where it's set at as standard. So now what we want to do is we want to actually add our bevel modifier in just to finish these off. So let's come over to the little spanner, add modifier, come down to where it says bevel, and what this is going to do is going to give a nice bevel going round. Obviously this is too much, so let's turn down this offset down to 0.2 or 0.1, whichever you feel comfortable with, and I think at the moment 0.1 is absolutely fine. Now I'm not going to apply this because I might want to change it as we go along, but for now this will be absolutely fine. So now let's press Alt H, and what we're going to do now is we're going to create the wooden parts that go up the sides of the wall. I think at the moment as well that my door is a little bit too big, so I'm going to bring it in a minute. So I'm going to click on this, go to face select, and I'm just going to select these faces here. So do the same if yours is. Those ones on the inside, that'll be enough. Make sure that you're on medium point, SX, and just bring them in just a little bit. Don't worry too much about this because this is just a base and it's going to be covered in wood anyway. So now let's grab these faces on here, turn around, press Shift D, bring it out, and now what we're going to do is come to edge select, grab this face and this face, press F, this one and this one, F, and just fill that in. Then we're going to grab the whole thing with L, press delete, limited dissolve, and that's now going to make it just a plain. Now fine, let's split it away from this. So P, selection, tab, grab it again, and there we go. Now we've got something to work with, albeit the center of origin is not in the middle. So right click, set origin to geometry. Let's press tab, and then we're going to put some edge loops in, Control R. Let's try 6, let's have a look. They might be, I think they're about right actually. Maybe, let's try 5, so Control R, 5. Yeah, maybe they're a bit thicker I think, because they're more in line with the size of a plank, so I think I'm happy with them like that. Press L, right click, come down to mark seams. If you're in face select, it's always Control E to mark seam, and if you're in edge select, it's right click. Now let's put our other edge loops in going this way, so Control R, and let's try 6, left click, right click just to drop them in place, face select, and let's grab every other one, Y just to split them up. You can grab one just to make sure that they're split, grab the whole thing with A, E, let's pull them out, to something like that. Now on these, we don't need to worry about the sides of them, so that makes it a little bit easier for us. All we need to do is make sure that these faces are actually nice and stylized. So let's go up to our links, come down to individual origins, SZ, pull them in, press tab, and then you can look to see what the gaps are looking like. And maybe on these the gaps might be a little bit too much, so SZ, pull it back a little bit, and there we go. I think I'm a bit happier with that. And now what I want to do is I want to join these bags again, so A, come to mesh, come down to clean up, and merge by distance, 40 vertices, removed. So that means now all these are interlocking again, which is what we want. So now let's come to edge, select, and we're going to go to proportional editing, and now I'm going to manipulate these exactly the same way as what I did with the planks of wood. We'll do something a little bit different in a minute with these, with the proportional editing, just to make them a little bit different. And I'm going to bring my thing out a little bit like so, and it's just little touches that make it look so different. Okay, now let's go up here and put it on random, and now we can get some real difference. If you notice, if you pull this right out now, you can see you've got a lot of difference going off here. So just a tiny bit, it really doesn't need too much. Something like that. Press tab and let's have a look at what that's looking like. You can see here that this one maybe is a little bit too straight down here, so let's pull it up. Something like that. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. So now let's split up each plank of these. So let's press tab, face select, and what we're going to do is we're going to grab every other one on the sides, front, and the back. Press Y, and now let's see if we can move them with G, take off proportional editing, and there we go. Okay, so they're split up, and now we really don't need the backs of them, so we're going to go down the back with L, delete, faces, and there we go. Now we're ready to add our materials. So again, we're going to do pretty much the same thing. So let's press tab, come to your materials panel, and we're going to click minus first, and we're going to click plus 5 times again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come to the first one, new, double click, and we're going to call it wood wall 1, and we'll come to base color, and I'm going to put it a bit browner, so I'm going to move it back than these on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it down so it's a little bit darker to start with than those ones, so possibly still a little bit darker, something like that. And the posts are going to be a little bit darker than this, so I think this is a good place to start. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this down arrow, copy material, and now I'm going to click on this one, new, and I'm going to do the same thing on all these, and then I'm going to paste material on these like so, and now I'm going to double click this one, and I'm just going to rename these with Control V, and I'm going to do the same thing all the way down. And it does get quicker obviously because we're doing the setup here, which is a bit long-winded, but once you've got it in place, it's much easier then to do everything else. Oops, that's not 15. So Control V, minus 5. Okay, let's press tab, and what we'll do is we'll come up to edge select, grab this one with L, and we did edge select just to make sure that I've got it all the way around. And now come to wood wall 2, I think I'll grab this one as well. Click assign, tab, and now we're just going to change the color just a little bit, something like that. Come to the next one, L, click assign, tab, we'll make this one a little bit lighter of course, so something like that. And let's come to the next one. So we've got 2 more, so we'll pick this one, click assign, tab, and what we'll do is we'll try and change the color just very slightly like so. So you notice that it's very, very slightly, it's still a nice contrast between them, nothing too drastic. Okay, so let's grab the bottom one, wood wall 5, click assign, tab, and now let's try and change this just a little bit Nothing too drastic, something like that. So you can see it's slightly different from this. So if you double tap here, you've got a better look at it, and you can see maybe it's a little bit too close. I might make it a little bit paler. Let's have a look. Yeah, something like that. Now it's a bit different to it, and it's still different from these, as you can see. Okay, so the one thing I do want to do though is I want to bring this up just a little bit, and what I want to do is I just want to pull these tops and bottoms out because we forgot those. So let's come to this proportional editing, put it back on smooth, and let's move them out. I'm going to zoom this in a little bit. I don't want to be doing it too much because remember the backs of them are no longer joined, so be very careful when you move these. And what you want to do is just pull them out just a slight bit, and I think the bottom one actually is okay. Okay, so let's put that back down in place, just making sure that it's kind of level with that. And now we'll do our smoothing, and we'll reset the transforms, and we'll also check our face orientation. You can see they're correct. You can see on these that these are the wrong way around, but they're just the base, so we don't need to worry about that. Let's turn that off. Control A, all transforms, right click, set origin to geometry, right click, shade smooth, triangle, auto smooth, and now we're ready to add in our bevel modifier. So with these, I notice sometimes you can get away with having it a little bit higher. So if you notice on these are 0.001, and on these are 0.002, and I think maybe let's have a look. And I think on these 0.002 actually looks better, so we'll leave it at that. So now we've got it, let's bring it out here. And what we're going to do is we're going to press RZ45, and this is going to be the base for the sides. So let's try and get it in place. And you want it just to hit this corner, and if you're struggling, just go up to where it says global, put it down to normal, and now you'll see that you can move it perfectly in line with the actual direction that the piece of wood is facing. So now let's press Shift D, and that will duplicate it, and then RZ minus 90, and that's going to turn exactly the opposite way. And then we're going to pull this in place and try and stick it in the corner. And again, because it's stylized, don't worry too much about lining everything up. This kind of needs to look like it's been knocked together very roughly. Okay, so let's make a start on these pieces now. So let's click on this main part here. I'm going to go around the back because if you notice these ones are a little bit bent and I really don't want that. So what I'll do is I'll grab these here and then make sure proportional editing is off. Shift D, move your mouse, right click, we'll drop them right back into place and then pull them out like so. Now we need to make sure that these have as many planks as these have. So let's press delete and limited dissolve, put this back on global, Control R, and I think we had 5. Let's have a look. Left click, right click, 1 on the number pad, and you can see that these now are nearly lining up. And the reason they don't quite line up is look, this is just a little bit lower, that's all. So Control R, 5, left click, right click, I'm going to press L on each one of these, P to split them up, Tab, and now you can see that these are split away from these. Okay, so let's work on these parts. Pretty much the same thing as what we've been doing. So let's press Tab, Control R, 3, left click, right click, and the same on this one. So Control R, 3, left click, right click. And now what we need to do is we just need to grab them down. So I'm going to press Alt, Shift and click, going all the way around. So we've got every other one like this. Now it's just because I put in my edge loops a bit too early. Oops, I don't want those clicking. So let's click these off. Right click, mark seam, and you just want it looking like that. We're pretty much doing the same thing over as what we've done for these two parts. So let's press L, and what we're going to do is split these up now. So press Y, A, grab them all, E, pull them out, and now we're going to go to the front, SZ, bring them in, like so. Okay, so let's press Tab again, go to Edge Select, and we're going to grab all of these now, we're going to come to mesh, go down to clean up, merge by distance, 50 verses removed so you know it's worked. And now what we're going to do is manipulate each part of these. So again, edge select, grab this edge, proportional editing, and let's start manipulating each one of these. Let's pull it out a little bit, maybe that's a bit too much, something like that. Like that. Okay, let's do this one. And the good thing about these parts is we don't need to manipulate these because they're always going to be covered by a post. But we do want to do the bottom. Okay, right, let's put this on to random now. And let's do a little bit more. Pull it out a little bit, like so. Let's do this side. Okay, press tab, have a look, make sure you're happy with it. And the good thing as well is we've already got our materials pretty much done for these, so that makes it easy. Okay, so let's separate the backs of these now. So let's come into face select and we'll do them both together. It'll make it quicker and easier. So I'm just pressing L on the sides, the front and the back. Like so. Y, split them up. And you should be able to now press G with proportional editing off and move them away. And now what we'll do is we'll just get rid of the backs because we don't need those and it's just wasted polygons. Like so. Delete. Faces. Okay, so you should end up with something like this, pretty similar to what we did. And now we're going to grab one of them and we're going to split these up and do them separately. That means then we can move them about over the scene much easier. So grab all this side, P, selection, tab, and now you can see they're two separate parts. And now let's do them both together. So first of all, we'll check the face orientation, and you can see they're both bright red, which is wrong. So what you can do is you can grab this one, shift click this one, press the tab, A, shift N, and you can do them both at the same time. Let's press tab, take off face orientation. Let's do this one now. So Control A, all transforms, right click, set origin to geometry. And now let's do the same thing for this one. Like so. Let's come to this one now, right click, shade smooth, auto smooth. Okay, so that's all that done. And now let's add in our material. So let's come to this one first. Click on this, and what you're going to do so we don't have to bring them all in is if you click, shift click on this one, so you've got them both highlighted but this one last, press Ctrl L and then you can click on materials and you'll get the first material on there. And now you can click on this one and this one, Ctrl L, materials, and there you go. Now you've got all the materials added, we just need to swap them over. So let's come to this one first, L, L, and I'll click assign, and then I'll click this one, and then finally I'll click maybe this one, something like that, just to make sure they're looking different. And now we'll do a different one with this one, so let's click assign. Okay, there you go, looking very, very different. So let's now do the beveling. So we'll click on this one first, add modifier, and bevel, bring it down to, I think 0.2, yep, 0.2 on this one. And now we'll do the same thing on this one, so add bevel, 0.2. Alright, so let's move this into place where it's going to go. And if you're struggling to zoom in, just press the dot on the number pad and I'll zoom you right into where you need to be. Let's pick it up a little bit as well, just so it's level. I don't want it absolutely level, it needs to be a little bit out, just to give it some more character. And we're going to have a post down here and a post down here, which is going to hide these edges like I said. So now let's grab this one, bring it over, and pick it up a little bit just so they're nearly level, not quite, something like that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to grab this one, I'm going to press Shift D, bring it round, RZ45, change this to normal, and we're going to fit this in place over here, and this is going to give us the length of our saloon. So let's bring it in like so. And if you want it looking a little bit different, while you've got it on normal, press RY 180, and that's just going to spin it round and give it the appearance of being a totally separate piece. Okay, so let's grab this one again, Shift D, bring it over, RZ-45, and now let's fit this one in place. Dot again on the number pad just to see where I am with it. You can see these are a little bit thicker as well. I think we need to worry about that because we can push it back as far as we want, and I think I'm happy with how that is. Okay, double tap the A, and now let's grab this piece, and what we're going to do is now we're going to bring this down to here. So let's press Shift D, bring it out, turn it around, so RZ45, and let's try and fit this into place where it's going to go. And you can see we've got a massive gap here. We're going to fix that, don't worry. And what we're looking for is just to make sure that these are the same length out as what these are, so you can see how far these go in. These should be round about the same. And you can see also that we're missing 2 planks here. All we'll do is we'll grab this one here, press L to grab it all, put this on local, Shift D just to duplicate it, and then let's move it over to where we want it. And then we need one more plank, so we'll pick, let's say this one here, so L, Shift D, bring it over, and there's also going to be a post there, so don't worry about if this overhangs. And if you're not happy, by the way, you can just make it a little bit smaller, of course. So let's just pull it out just a little bit. It's just touching, just too much there, and it should look something like that. Okay, so now we need one this side. So what I'll do is I'll actually use this. So I'll press Shift D, bring it out, RZ-90, push it in place, something like that. Just make sure that we've got some corner there, and it's sticking over again like the other one. And just make sure that it's looking pretty different from each other, and you can see that they pretty much are. And if you're not happy with it, just spin it around again, or move some of these around if you really want to. Okay, so let's grab this one here, and we're going to press L, Shift D, and we're going to bring it over to here. And what we're going to do now is we're going to try and make a join going in here. And all we're going to do that is we're just going to manipulate a little bit. So we're going to grab the edge of it here. You can see I'm just going to pull that down just a little bit, just to start off where I'm actually going to have it going to. I'm going to come in now with edge select. I'm going to grab this edge here, and I'm going to start pushing it back with smooth proportional editing on, and it's going to push it back a little bit into there, but that's fine. That's exactly what we want. And now we'll bring this part back, and all this is just a little bit of manipulation. Just make sure that you're not moving too much of these and things like that. So you might now want to, now you've got it something like that, press L, P, selection, and just split it off just from this one, and now you should be able to grab it to your heart's content. So let's pull it out a little bit like so. I'm going to press G to move it a little bit, and I'm going to grab, I think I'll grab this one actually, turn this off, G, just to get it into place where I want it, G, and let's have a look, press tab, and I think I just need to bring this back a little bit in, so G again, and let's have a look at that. So let's press tab, double tap the A, and there we go. That looks very nice. Now we just need to do the same thing on the other. I think I'll pick this piece of wood for this part, so I'll click on this again, tab, grab this part, L, Shift D, right click, and let's bring it out. And now let's try and get it into something I want. I'm just going to lift it up just a little bit, just so I've got something to work with. Okay, let's go to face select, click on this front face here, let's just pull it down, and what I'm trying to do is just get it into the right place first. Let's grab this one like so. Okay, I think it's nearly there. I'm going to press G just to pull it out. so. And there we go. I just want to make sure that it's not going too high up like that, as you can see. Sometimes with G you can actually pick it up and not actually realize. I'm going to grab the vert select and just pull this down a little bit like so. And it's okay if it's a little bit higher than some of the others. I mean, we want it a little bit uneven. But yeah, that should be fine, I think. It's maybe a little bit too much. So let's grab both of these, pull them down a little bit like so. Press the tab button, double tap the A, and then just make sure that you're happy with it. And you should have something like this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to join up this one, Control J, and now it's all nice and neat and back together. So let's now start work on this front door. So let's bring in our cube. So Shift A, Mesh, Cube. Let's bring it in. Oops. S, let's make it smaller. And bring it back to the door. Now I want to make sure that it's the right size first before I start bringing it out and doing anything with it. So I'm just going to try and level it up as best I can. You want it relatively chunky, so let's go to Face Select. And you're going to have another one going across here, so just make sure that you've got it as chunky as you want it, and I think that's going to be fine. And what we'll do is we'll make 2 of these, so Shift D, Enter, bring it over to around about the same place as the other one. I'm just going to bring them both across a little bit more just to make sure that I've got enough room for my saloon doors. I don't want to make sure they're too small. Now let's grab them both, pull them out, and let's start work on these. So first thing I want to do is I want to press Control R, 4, left click, right click, Control R, 4, and this time I'm going to left click and just move it up a little bit just so it's a little bit different from this one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back on global, proportional editing on, and I'm just going to start manipulating this one just a tiny bit, just to give it some kind of character and make it look like it's been hammered together again. So let's pull this one a little bit in, and they're very, very tiny adjustments. You really don't need to do really big adjustments, just very tiny, just to make it look a little bit skewed like that. I think I'm just going to turn this off and just pull this out just a little bit more like that. So look at the top like so, and let's pull this, let's pull this one out a little bit more like so. So it looks like it's bowing in a little bit. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So we'll do exactly the same thing as what we've done with the rest. We'll grab this one first, P, selection, and then tab, and let's work on this one first. So Control A, all transforms, right click, origin to geometry, and you should know the score by now. You're going to be doing this actually a lot. Check the face orientation, fine. Right click, shade smooth, let's do them both together. Okay, and now let's bring in our material, so new. And what we'll do is we'll put this as post, so wood, post, and we'll now have this a little bit darker than all of these. So wood, let's bring it to this color maybe. So look how dark we need to go, and let's double tap the A and we can see what we're doing. And we just want to make sure that it really is darker than the others, so maybe bring it down a little bit more, and you can see there now that's definitely darker than what the others are. And we're going to be using this material a lot, so it's important to get that one right. Let's pull them out. Let's grab this one and then click this down arrow, and we're looking for wood post, which is there, and there we go. Okay, so let's modify this one as well. So add modifier, bevel, and let's see what we can get away with on this one. It needs to be 0.1 or 0.2. I think actually 0.2 is going to look nice. Same on this one. And unfortunately on this we can't get rid of the backs because we might be spinning these around. We might be using these again. It's always best if we can use them again anyway. It's going to save us work. Let's pull this one in place and pull this one in place. And I think they look about right. We can as well just spin this one round a bit, so our Z, just turn it around a little bit, tiny fraction, And now we'll bring in another cube. So Shift A, cube. And hopefully yours came in the middle. If not, Shift S and just put the cursor to world origin. So S and then SX. Bring it out. And then let's pull it down to something where it just sits on top of there. And we might need to put one of these planks behind it. We'll see. Let's have a look. And I think that's going to be okay. I think we might need another plank behind it as well. So we'll fix this first. So what we'll do first is we'll press Tab, Control R, 2, left click, right click, SX, turn off proportional editing, SX, and if it's not moving, make sure your link's on medium point, SX, let's pull it out. Okay, and now let's go to face select, and we'll grab this face first, just pull it out just a tiny bit like so, and then this one, just a tiny bit, maybe that's a little bit too much, Control R, 3, left click, right click, and now let's just pull this out just a little bit so I've got see what I'm doing. Make sure you're on edge select, proportional editing on, and then let's pull this up just a little bit and maybe pull this back in like so. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, that's looking quite nice. I think I'll pull this middle down as well. Yeah, there we go, that looks nice. Okay, again, let's just check the face orientation. That one's correct, so we'll turn that off. Control A, right click, set origin to geometry, right click, shade smooth, auto smooth, and we've already got the material for this, so let's put it on material, come down to where it says wooden post, and there we go. Alright, let's put it into place. And yeah, that's looking quite nice. Okay, so with these and these, we just need to now just get rid of the tops of them. We've still got them over here, so we can still use them, but we're just going to change the top out for one of these. If we use one of these, they may be a bit too short, so I'll explain what I'm doing. So if I grab this one and this one, press delete, vertices, grab this one here, tab, L, Shift D, bring it out just a little bit, with proportional editing off, of course, P, selection, tab, and then I just want to press RZ, 45, and you can see there that the orientation is not right, so I'll just right click, set origin to geometry, just make it easy for me just to put it in place. And you can see now why I'm actually doing this, because it's one complete piece rather than two little pieces. And you can see that they're tiny little bit long. There is a post that's going to be covering those as well, so we haven't got to worry about that. Let's lift it up just a tiny bit, because you can see now there's a gap between them. And let's press SX and just bring them in just very slightly. Double tap the A. And all we need to do now is just add in our bevel modifier. So let's go to bevel, turn this down to 0.2. Let's just check. Yeah, 0.2, and double tap the A. And you should end up with something like this. Now on the next part of the course, what we'll do is we'll finish this off and then we'll start on our roof. And as I say, as I did the first 2 or 3 parts, it's going to get much quicker because we've already done all the groundwork for it. Okay everyone, give me a like if you like that. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.